money that we got here, but a lot of the money that we got in the United States. And every cent of that went either to a UK firm or to a UK employee. Everybody said it's inconceivable that in today's day that any new automobile company could survive.
The year was 1973, and Detroit was alive with the roar of engines, the clatter of assembly lines, and the invisible pulse of ambition. It was the golden era of American muscle cars, where engineers and executives competed not just for profits, but for legend. And in the middle of it all was John Zachary DeLorean, a man who moved faster, dreamed bigger, and refused to be ordinary. DeLorean wasn't just another executive at General Motors. By the time he was in his early 40s, he had already reshaped Pontiac, giving birth to the GTO, a car that ignited a revolution and earned him a reputation as the young star of Detroit. Colleagues called him brilliant, reporters called him a visionary, and competitors, well, they called him dangerous. Because DeLorean didn't just play the game, he rewrote the rules.
There's house money into this car, but it's so subtle and it's so
But ambition can be a double-edged sword. While DeLorean climbed the corporate ladder, his ideas and methods rubbed the powerful people at GM the wrong way. He wasn't just a rising star, he was a threat. And when you threaten Detroit's auto giants, the consequences can be severe. In 1973, DeLorean made a decision that would change the course of his life forever. He left GM. Not quietly, not humbly, but boldly, with a vision that seemed impossible: to build his own car company, to create a car that would become the ultimate symbol of innovation and style, and to challenge the very system that had nurtured and now opposed him. That car would become the DeLorean DMC-12. Sleek, futuristic, and unforgettable with its stainless steel body and gull-wing doors. It was a design that looked like it came from the future, but the reality behind it was far darker. Because while DeLorean dreamed of cars that would inspire, powerful forces were already conspiring against him.
Backdating documents, fabricating evidence, threatening my attorney, threatening witnesses.
Rivals within GM saw his departure as betrayal. Executives who had once praised his genius now saw an opportunity to make sure his bold gamble would fail, to protect their own empire at any cost. DeLorean didn't just leave a company. He stepped into a war. And in this war, the rules were not written in boardrooms or on balance sheets. They were written in whispers, backroom deals, and the kind of betrayal that history often overlooks. Until now, the story of John DeLorean is not just the story of a car or a company. It's a story of brilliance, ambition, and the ruthless forces of corporate power.
I like product, I like technical things. Very proud of our car, which...
It's a story of a man who touched the stars and was pulled back down to earth by the very hands that once celebrated him. This is the explosive truth behind GM's betrayal of John DeLorean. John DeLorean was born in Detroit on January 6, 1925, the son of working-class immigrants. From an early age, he displayed a fascination with machines, taking apart radios, watches, and anything with a moving part to understand how it worked. He studied engineering at Lawrence Institute of Technology, later earning a master's degree from the Chrysler Institute and an MBA from the University of Michigan. His education and intellect were unmatched, but it was his drive and charisma that propelled him forward.
Later became a maverick of the auto industry and eventually ended up on the wrong side of the law.
In 1956, he joined General Motors. By the early 1960s, he was leading the Pontiac division, where his revolutionary vision reshaped the industry. The Pontiac GTO, introduced in 1964, wasn't just a car, it was a movement. A powerful engine, aggressive styling, and a marketing strategy that captured the youth of America made it an instant hit. The GTO's success cemented DeLorean's reputation as a prodigy and earned him the nickname the Young Star of Detroit. By 1965, he became the youngest division head in GM history, and his ascent seemed unstoppable. DeLorean had it all: talent, influence, and a track record of success that even his critics had to respect. But beneath the accolades, tension was building. GM was a bureaucracy built on caution and hierarchy.
We went through a whole series of alternatives, and ultimately none of them worked until we went up there. And the reason
DeLorean, with his risk-taking approach, often clashed with executives who valued stability over innovation. His unorthodox methods, bold statements, and refusal to play politics made him a target. He was brilliant, but dangerous, at least in the eyes of GM's leadership. DeLorean's vision extended beyond the limits of corporate GM. He dreamed of creating a car that would be more than a machine, a statement, a symbol, a work of art. But inside GM, his dreams were constrained, his ideas slowed by endless approvals and committees. It was clear to him, if he wanted to truly innovate, he would have to leave. Leaving GM was not just a career move, it was an act of courage. But it was also an act of defiance. John DeLorean stepped out of the corporate safety net into a world where every ally could turn into a foe. Every decision carried the weight of his dream, and the forces he had once called colleagues were quietly aligning against him. In 1975, he founded the DeLorean Motor Company.
closed us, our company was making over $4 million a month, and
driven by a vision that few could comprehend, and even fewer dared to support. His goal was audacious: to build a car that was more than steel and rubber, more than speed and mechanics. He wanted a car that was a masterpiece, a bold marriage of engineering and artistry. The DMC-12, with its gleaming stainless steel body and futuristic gull-wing doors, would be that car. But even as DeLorean set out to realize his dream, the shadows of General Motors followed him. Before he even walked out of GM's doors, resistance had begun. Promotions were delayed, budgets scrutinized, and allies quietly sidelined. Projects that should have sailed forward suddenly stalled. Every meeting, every proposal, every innovation became a subtle battlefield.
But John DeLorean is still in trouble. Authorities in Britain and the United States want to know what...
The message was clear. If you want to fly, you'll have to do it alone. It was a whisper campaign, a slow tightening of the screws that made it impossible for him to remain. And so, he left. Not just to chase a dream, but to escape a system that had grown determined to contain him. Once DMC was born, the obstacles multiplied. The very networks he had relied on for knowledge, resources, and suppliers were now fraught with barriers. Contacts who once offered guidance turned cold, afraid of crossing the giant he had left behind. Negotiations dragged on for months. Costs soared. The car that existed in DeLorean's mind now seemed to push back at him. Every gleaming panel and gull-wing door a reminder of how high the stakes had become.
Business practice in the automobile business, and DeLorean did exactly that last fall.
Northern Ireland, with its promise of government incentives, offered a lifeline. But it was a lifeline tangled with resistance. GM's influence reached across borders, lobbying quietly, exerting pressure behind closed doors. Politicians hesitated. Loans were slowed. Every financial move required more energy, more negotiation, and more endurance. The company's survival teetered on a knife's edge. And then there was the story that would shadow him long before the headlines: perception. Whispered rumors among industry insiders, sneaking into newspapers and trade magazines, painted DeLorean as brilliant, yet reckless, visionary, yet naive. This narrative wasn't loud, but it was lethal. Slowly, the world began to believe he was destined to fail.
He wasn't a drug guy, but regardless, he gets looped into this, and the government...
Every whispered doubt, every insinuation laid the groundwork. By the time the world turned its eyes on him, the stage for his downfall had already been set. The betrayal wasn't always in plain sight. It wasn't shouted from the rooftops. It was in delayed approvals, cold shoulders, stalled shipments, political maneuvering, and the quiet shaping of public opinion. Every challenge he faced, every obstacle in the way of the DMC-12 bore the fingerprints of the empire he had once served and now opposed. DeLorean was fighting on multiple fronts, engineering the impossible, managing finances, rallying a team, and fending off invisible enemies who had the power to make his dream crumble before it even left the factory floor.
No sooner had they decided on the DeLoreans in the shop, they came in just like they came.
It was a war waged in silence, and he was at its center. And then came the final blow. In 1982, DeLorean was charged with attempting to buy cocaine to fund DMC. The headlines didn't just report, it screamed, plastering his name across the world in a frenzy of greed, scandal, and betrayal. But behind the glare of the media spotlight, a darker truth emerged. The FBI had lured him into the trap. When the trial finally ended in December 1986, DeLorean was acquitted. But the damage was already done. DMC went bankrupt. His dream, once so livid and daring, lay in ruins. Not because he lacked vision or talent, but because a system had methodically, ruthlessly stacked the odds against him.
A gas turbine engine that they use to power things like helicopters.
The bankruptcy of DMC marked the tragic end of a dream. DeLorean lost his company, his fortune, and his reputation. Hollywood and media turned his life into cautionary tales of hubris and scandal, rarely acknowledging the corporate forces arrayed against him. Yet, DeLorean's story didn't end with shame. The DMC-12 became a cult icon, immortalized by the Back to the Future films and celebrated by collectors worldwide. Its stainless steel body, gull-wing doors, and futuristic lines remain instantly recognizable, a reminder of what DeLorean had envisioned. For DeLorean himself, the battle continued. He attempted other ventures, but none captured the imagination or ambition of his original dream. He remained a symbol of ingenuity, resilience, and the dangers of challenging powerful institutions.
When we looked inside the DeLorean, speedometer only went up to 85 miles per hour.
John DeLorean's life is a story of brilliance, betrayal, and ambition. It's the story of a man who dared to dream bigger than the system that shaped him and paid the ultimate price for it. The GM betrayal was subtle but devastating. Delayed promotions, withheld resources, political interference, and a media narrative that primed the public to condemn him. It was a slow, calculated undermining that left DeLorean vulnerable when disaster struck. Yet today, the DeLorean DMC-12 glimmers in museums, garages, and on the silver screen. It reminds us of what one man can achieve when he refuses to be ordinary, and what happens when brilliance collides with institutional power. In the end, John DeLorean's story is a testament to vision, courage, and the tragic reality that even the greatest innovators can fall victim to forces beyond their control. If you want to uncover more stories like this, legends, betrayals, and the hidden truths of the automotive world, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss a story.